In this week's Before You Ride, we will be taking a look at Cycling UK's new route, a 125 mile or 200 kilometre bikepacking route across the Snowdonia National Park. With having just completed the route, I will try to give you some insight into what to expect if you decide to take it on for yourself, including what bike is best for wild camping. We will also be giving the route a difficulty rating, 1 being easy and 10 being hard. And also my overall rating, again 10 being it's the best thing since that sliced bread, and 1, well, don't even bother. So let's quickly jump into this Before You Ride. Cycling UK's new route that I don't know the correct pronunciation for, so I won't bother trying to say it. But this route is a 200 kilometre, 125 mile, starting in also another place that I cannot pronounce in mid-Wales. This route will take you all the way through the Snowdonia National Park up to Conway, North Wales. So it goes without saying that if you are looking for a bikepacking adventure exploring the Snowdonia National Park, this will be a good option for you. The terrain is a mixture of quiet country lanes, single track, double track and forest trails, with some grassy trails towards the end with a little bog here and there. Being Wales, I probably don't need to tell you that there is going to be some climbing involved, about 4,000 metres or 13,500 feet of elevation gain. This bikepacking route will show you the rugged side of Wales, from the rocky, mountainous terrain to the rugged Welsh coastline. Welsh bikepacking adventures are always a place where you will experience every emotion possible. Whether that's the rewarding feeling of making it up them steep Welsh climbs, or the feeling of pure joy as you descend them very steep Welsh climbs. This route will give you a chance to experience everything that come with an adventure in Wales like this. You will want a GPS unit for mapping, as the route uses a bunch of different types of ways. If you have never gone on a bikepacking adventure in Wales before, then I think this might actually be a good starting point. Wales can be a tough place to ride, from the weather to the terrain. It can be a tough place, and it's not a place I would normally recommend for absolute beginners. And that is still the case. However, if you have been on a few bikepacking adventures in the past, got a bit of experience, and really want to try a Welsh adventure, then this is a really good starting point. It's not overly long and can be completed in 1 to 3 days. Although there are a few sections that are a little technical, the majority of this ride is completely rideable. Being mostly double track and forest track or just country lanes, the difficulty will mostly be from the steepness of some of them climbs. However, for Wales, I'd say it's on the easier side, and the climbs are mostly all rideable, minus a few short sections of hiker bike. Being only 125 miles long, it would make a good overnighter during the summer months. The route has a good balance of reward to struggle. So you know that the sections of this route that feel tough, you will be rewarded. I don't want to give the impression that this route is a complete doddle, and depending on your level of experience and bike skills, you might find it really hard. But in terms of Welsh bikepacking routes, I did find this to be on the easier side, not just because it's on the shorter side, but the trails didn't feel overly hard to ride. Being Wales, the weather can play a huge part in how a ride like this plays out. And being Wales, it can be very unpredictable, so you will want to be comfortable in dealing with the ever-changing conditions. Cycling UK class this as a mountain bike route, and whilst I do agree a mountain bike is not a bad option, I think this ride could be completed fairly comfortably on a gravel bike. I'd say you would still want to be on the bigger side with the tyres. 45mm would be the minimum, but around 50mm would be the best. And of course, mountain bike gearing. Easier, the better for Wales, always. The hills can be very, very steep in places. I normally don't really enjoy using the gravel bike in Wales. Typically, I find the mountain bike to be the better option. However, this route I feel I would be fine riding the gravel bike. There are of course a few sections along this route that it might be on the rougher side of riding while on the gravel bike, but the technical trails are fairly short, or just short hiker bikes anyway, which is good news if you have just bought yourself a shiny new gravel bike and wanted to try out this route. In terms of riding this on a mountain bike though, you don't need any full sus, and a short travel, fast rolling XC bike would be great. Even a rigid mountain bike would do the job nicely. This route isn't too overly technical, so you don't need anything too out there. Now, here's where things get a little tricky. You are not really allowed to wild camp in the Snowdonia National Park, so it goes without saying that if you are going to wild camp, make sure you leave no trace, set up late, and leave early. However, as I made my way through this route, I actually found it quite hard to find good wild camping spots. They were far and few between, even to the point where I ended up getting a hotel one night. It was of course very wet when I did this route, so that definitely played a part, but generally speaking the wild camping along this route was quite hard to find. There are other options though, like hostels and B&Bs along this route, so it would be possible to plan this route without the wild camping. But if you do decide you want to wild camp, then it's best to go with either a bivvy or a small tent. Being a fairly short route, you shouldn't have too many problems here, as I think most people taking on this route will take around 2 days. Water is easily found with a water filter. There are plenty of streams along this route that you can collect your water supply. The start and finish of this route both have supermarkets, so whichever direction you decide to go, you can stock up well before. There is also a main resupply point around the midway point of this route, and it's another place I cannot pronounce. If you want to get to the start of this ride using public transport, then good news is you can do this, as there is a train station at the start of this ride. The train will be Transport for Wales, and they do require you to book your bike on in advance. In my experience, they are not overly strict, but Wales is a popular place for people cycling, so the bike spaces can fill up quickly. If you want some good news though, Transport for Wales don't use the hooks, so make sure you book your tickets in advance and book your bike on before you travel, just to make sure you can actually get it on. When you get to the end of this ride, there is also a train station. There are direct trains back to South Wales, or you can head towards Birmingham and then wherever you need to go from there. These trains can get busy, so again, book in advance and to make sure you get your bike on. Some train lines are more strict than others. For Wales, the difficulty of this route didn't feel overly hard. I can't give it a really low score because it is still Wales and it still has its challenges, whether that be the weather or just the sheer steepness of some of the climbs. However, I think overall I would give this a 5.5 in difficulty. Most of the difficulty that I think most people will find on this route comes from some of the steep terrain and the unpredictable weather in Wales. But in terms of technical riding, it's mostly quite chill and double track or forest tracks, which means there is very little hiker bike as long as you can overcome the steep terrain. So where does that leave us with my overall rating of Cycling UK's new route? Well, I had a good adventure through the Snowdonia National Park. The trails were nearly all rideable with very minimal hiker bike. I think a fair score for this route is about a 7 out of 10. It's a fun route. I think it's a good option for people wanting to take the step or pedal into the bikepacking world in Wales, especially if you have a bit of bikepacking experience under your tyres already. There is a lot of beauty to be found along this route and lots of fun riding also. Being a fairly short route that can be done over a couple days gives it a more relaxed feel, which is nice for Wales, as a lot of routes in Wales can feel hard and relentless. Also, a route in Wales with minimal hiker bike is definitely a plus from me.